about Emily's and Victoria's abduction. This whole episode was maybe the biggest disappointment of the last season. I mean, it was so great when Malcolm was overwhelmed by joy having found David's daughter at last. How he smoothly touched her face. I really thought they would go all in with him, not only threatening Emily but treating her as bad as he could. And what did he do? He put her and Victoria into a cage and showed up to talk with them. Not what you expected. Me neither. I know torturing scenes are tough to watch and as tough to shoot, but he is introduced as a psychopath, and in this episode we see he assumes his daughter is already dead. So why does he not the things any psychopath in television or cinema does? Torture his prisoners for fun and for payback. And why did they not do the second best thing? Now having Victoria and Emily caged in, very much like Emily and Daniel before in that elevator, they could have talked things through. Victoria could have annoyed Emily with the same accusations she fired already in episode 1 and after Daniel's death. It is all Emily's fault and she is totally innocent. And Emily could have answered with a last desperate attempt to make her see the truth, which could have led to the final realization that Victoria would never give up living in denial, and it was useless to make her see her involvement in all this. Another thing I hate and like about this episode: the setting. First of all, I like this quite simple action sequence at the end with Malcolm almost killing Emily in that garbage incineration plant. What a weird idea and a nice reminiscence to season 2, when Emily tried to get rid of Aidan and he woke up in that garbage truck. And for cinematic reasons this was a cool location. I hate it because they made this really poor scene in which Jack discovered Emily's hint and they put in these really embarrassing attempt of connecting us with those two little kids again. But this time with no flashback at all and no significant prop like the sea glass from season 1 and 2. If they wanted to prepare us for Emily and Jack as endgame, why put Ben and Emily in front of us in the next episode? And if they really wanted to go all in with this ill-conceived romantic relationship between Emily and Jack, why not show us more flashbacks? I know Emily Alyn Lind was not available due to her age, and with the actor of Little Jack they would have had the same problem. But why not recast them? Like with David and Emily Alyn Lind's sister. They could have shown us the first flashback when Jack was looking at Emily in the first episode. I mean, were they afraid of a pedophilic notion? Because that would have been the problem in the first place, and more an issue in season 1 and 2 with Fomander. Because in these 2 seasons we have seen far more flashbacks of little Jack and Amanda. As I said before, they had a hard time in this last season making us see the connection between the two, and I think flashbacks could have helped, since besides fighting and helping Emily with her revenge ender in season 2 and 3, we had not that much potential romantic scenes between the two. Spoiler alert, in that kind of tribute episode with Emily's interview we will see some defining moments from the show. And with Emily and Jack they are almost exclusively from season 1. For good reason, cause when Fomander came into the picture and came back pregnant, the possible romance was over. Another problem for this episode. I really hate David and his behavior towards Jack, as if it was his fault that Malcolm Black is behind them and wants payback. Okay, Jack shot Kate, so he is technical right. But David was the one who flew him and took his money. So he is the reason why Kate and Malcolm are after his family and friends in the first place. And he is the one who refused help right from the start by not telling anyone about this threat. I mean, he knew the whole time that this Damocles sword is hanging above his head. But he did not bother to tell Victoria or Emily about it until it was too late. They lost precious time and information to fight this threat. So no, this mess is not Jack's but David's fault alone. The only thing that got me through this episode were the side plots, which got more and more interesting. Maybe they did this on purpose because they wanted to wrap up this bad plot and come up with the new ones. I really loved the quarrel between Louise and her family, and that her brother was shown as maybe innocent only to destroy his reputation by teaming up with Victoria and Margaux in the next episodes. And of course Margaux starting her revenge, which will last till the end of the show. This was a great twist, making Margaux an ally of Victoria because she was manipulated by her and her lies. I still think they could have been more brave by showing us how Victoria made Margaux share her view on Emily in the events around Pascal's and Daniel's death. This would have shown Margaux more as a victim, okay, but it would have also increased our level of hate for Victoria. But I guess the writers are a little too soft on her from the beginning. First depicting her as a victim of Conrad's deeds who had to give up the love of her life. Then in season 2 being manipulated by Conrad to get her hands dirty in order to save their son Daniel. Only in season 3 she appeared as a full-fledged villain when she killed Aidan for no reason but to punish Emily. About Louise and her mother. First of all, I like their outfits. As I said before, Louise brings in a real color splash. And I love those floral patterns her mother is wearing. Nolan's role in this was something I absolutely enjoyed. How he protects Louise and helps her coping with her demons. And his idea of getting married was just genius. Though I hate that they never had the guts to make a real romantic relationship out of this. This could have been far more messy and emotional if Nolan would have been torn between his feelings for Louise and this little voice inside his head that sees all the red flags. Spoiler alert. And opts for Tony as the safer choice. So Louise's baby idea and jealousy would not have been this totally out of place. But again, we will talk about that later. However, I really wished for them to find a way back to each other, and I was thrilled when I saw that deleted scene from the finale. Too bad they cut it out. Maybe I will, but my favorite deleted scenes together as a tribute to the show at the end of my last episode talk. Another thing, it is the best proof of Malcolm being a poorly written villain that Louise's mother makes a better one in this episode. Maybe this is exactly the true message from Revenge. Right from the start, Emily and Victoria were far more dangerous to each other than Conrad or any other male conspirator. Victoria almost found out about the identity swap in season 1, while Conrad till season 3 never even was suspicious about Emily. She fooled not only Daniel with her pretty face and harmless fake persona. Lydia was in season 1 and 3 a constant threat and first ally of Victoria in her war with Emily, like Charlotte. And while Nolan and Jack did everything to support Emily in her revenge agenda in season 3, they never were a real danger to the Graysons. While Lydia threatened to expose Emily more than once and Charlotte almost killed Emily. And do not forget Fomander and Kara, who were not very effective but truly dangerous for their own reasons. So the women proved to be far more harmful and threatening than the men. And they almost never had to resort to violence for this. Here in this scene, Louise's mother is blackmailing her in true revenge fashion and also abuses her like Victoria did with Charlotte. They really found a new parallel here, with Louise's mother choosing her brother over Louise like Victoria did with Daniel. If you are cynic or just not a fan of these plot elements, you would say it is repetitious and the writers are running out of ideas. But I like it cause it shows that these themes and topics are important to Revenge and form some kind of a core identity. I mean, they could have reversed the roles. Instead of her father being killed, it could have been her mother like in Snow White. And the father or the new stepmother could have been the big bad here. But they choose to parallel it with Emily's and Charlotte's experience, so the three women have something in common and are members of the same club. Girls who lost their father when they were little and have a troubled relationship with their mother. Another thing I liked about this episode, the fighting scenes. And I must admit, after season 3, in which we had very few of them, it was nice seeing them all be involved in that big fighting scene. I usually do not like such kind of scenes, but they really made it entertaining with Emily using the bricks and everyone fighting in their own style. And Jack becoming a police officer gave him finally the opportunity to get his own fighting scene. I know it is silly, but in some kind this makes him worthy of Emily. Because Aidan was trained with her and could keep up. While Daniel and Jack always seemed as some kind of a victim of Emily's charm, and a real fight with her would surely end bad for both men. So I loved seeing her back in action, only if it was for a few minutes. Another interesting fact is that actually the ceasefire between Emily and Victoria already begun here. 'Cause she was helping Emily twice in this episode, in contrast to her statement earlier in the cage. First she distracted Malcolm so that Ben and Jack had the time to swoop in for their little hero moment here. And second she warned Emily of Malcolm behind her back. Here comes the final moment of Malcolm and the last reason why I liked this spooky location. Burning him alive was a real effective way to get rid of him, and this fire was a great background and metaphor for his demise. They played with this hellfire metaphor a lot if you think about it. In season 1 with that exploding plane in which Victoria was supposed to die. And she told Conrad before she went off to board that plane that they would both see each other in hell. Then in season 2 her bruising that check for Fomanda as some kind of premonition about how Amanda would die on that exploding boat. Finally in season 4 Charlotte trying to burn her sister alive. Spoiler alert. Last but not least Grayson Manor burning up in flames like Mason Treadwell's home in season 1. Anyway, with this they are pretty much sure he is dead, and will not come back to haunt them. Like to many other characters did. About Victoria telling David goodbye. Now that I have seen this first half of the last season in a row, I can understand her motives better. Sure, she could have go on plotting her revenge on Emily and David. But she knows deep in her heart that it was not Emily's fault Daniel got shot, and I truly think that she wants to concentrate on Margaux and the baby. So it is kind of funny that while Margaux is plotting her revenge and becomes an ally to Victoria, she has no intention to go after Emily. I like the idea that she is some kind tired of being trapped in this vicious cycle of hate. 'Cause she already lost everything. She lost Daniel, her beloved son, whom she always wanted to protect with her actions. She lost Conrad, who was some kind of protection or safety net at least for her. And now she lost David for the second time to his daughter. Let's not forget Charlotte and Patrick, who hate her right now because of the bad influence she has on them. So Margaux and Daniel's baby are the only things worth fighting for. I can understand that her first priority is to keep them near and safe. And finally she realizes that she can only do that if she makes peace with David and Amanda, who want to do the same. Live a normal life together and getting to know each other again, to have some kind of father-daughter relationship. So if the writers were on point, they would have make her say that she, Margaux and the baby deserve a second chance and a family life together like David and his daughter. She may be mourning Daniel forever like Emily and David mourn the 20 years they lost together. However, they also get to look into the future with Emily getting married sometime and Margaux giving birth to Victoria's first grandchild. About Emily and Ben. I must admit in this episode he was a real trooper, and he helps Emily in the next couple of episodes. Of course, because he himself got something to lose when Margaux is going after him and his ex-wife. And later because he wants to help Jack, who he became friends with during their time as partners. These were the great moments between Emily and him, and that she could talk with him as a neutral person about being Amanda again. Neither Jack nor Nolan are impartial here, cause they are both waiting like David when she will finally put Emily Thorne to rest. Though it is pathetic, it is not that far-fetched that Ben could in part understand her because of that undercover story. He had to use similar tactics and deceive people, which was always the biggest problem for Emily, Jack and Daniel and their relationship. So these friend talks were nice, and I could accept that role for Ben, but they had to ruin it with Emily finally giving in to his flirting. Now I see it as the same pattern as with Aidan in season 2. The difference is Emily had a reason to dismiss him cause they shared a past and he let her down once and now tried to make it right. Which was a far more intriguing backstory than Ben just having a crush on her and being even more intrigued now he knows the whole story around her. He seems to be a creepy mixture of a male groupie and fanboy who just wants to be with her because of the thrill. While Emily is trying to forget about Aidan and Jack altogether and just hides her true feelings. So from the start we knew this would not go well for long. And like most of the audience, this was the most annoying part of season 4. Seeing him and Emily happy together, while Jack still got no one new and just kept waiting for Emily. So for me, we deserved at least one happy pair, which should have been Louise and Nolan. And with the next episode, one was hoping that we get that.